build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet. Hello guys, welcome to another live segment of Carnivore Muscle Ramblings, live Q&A with myself on the segment number 52, this delightful Monday evening. It's just going to be me tonight, guys, so no Jerome, no Sophie. Sophie's currently dealing with being late back from work, so she's, I don't know, making dinner probably. And Jerome, his internet is messed up, so unfortunately you're going to have to deal with just me today. So I'm going to go through some questions. I'm going to aim to get this through quite succinctly, so if you do have any questions, they'll be answered in order as appeared on the screen. Otherwise, leave super chats and I'll prioritize those, of course. So I'm just going to go through quickly. Thank you, Rick, for joining me tonight. Well, this afternoon for you, probably. Also, Zbigniew, thank you very much for joining. All right, so we're getting to question number one. So question number one, what is a safe or healthy body fat level? I know this is a very general question, but I think that there is a safe range of body fat for men and women and depends on other conditions. So that's completely correct. Yes, it does completely depend, and you're completely right. I mean, I know people that are 25% body fat as a male and seemingly healthy. I think there's a broad range of people that fit into a healthy body fat. But what I'd personally say is for men, somewhere between 10 and 20% is healthy, sustainable, and can be achieved quite easily. And the people that I see above 20% body fat are people that are piggies and eat too much food. So you need to learn to eat a bit less, I think. And sometimes people will say, oh, I'm sedentary, I'm disabled, therefore I cannot lose weight. Well, no. 90% of your physique outcomes, or at least your body composition outcomes, come from the diet itself. So using that as an excuse is not viable, it's not valid. And in fact, as you're less active as a disabled or inactive person, your appetite will be less stimulated, so that actually you're less likely to be overweight and overfeed. So technically speaking, no, false. It's like I just said, 10 to 20% body fat, I think that's a reasonable range for most people. There are people that fall outside of that bracket, not very often. I sustained below 6% body fat, so 6% body fat for about 9 months straight. I felt pretty crap. I was very tired and it didn't really help me at all. So I tried to be as light as possible for as long as possible. And seemingly it didn't help. So for me, not advised, ill-advised. So I'll probably say stay between 10 and 20% body fat. Now, that's also coupled with a substantial amount of muscle mass. When I say substantial, I mean substantially more what the average person has right now. The average person right now is under-muscled. How do I know that? Well, they have no tone and they can't lift up, I don't know, a shopping bag. You should be able to lift a substantial amount of weight because you're built to be able to be strong. You know, your upper body should be strong and your lower body should be endurable. And anthropometrically, if that's a word, I don't know. You need to be able to sustain what you need to do during a day. So that could be at 10% or it could be at 20%. There's going to be geographical differences between one person and the next based on climate. So people that are in different climates, for example, people that are perhaps in more of a winterous or cold terrain, they'd actually probably store more body fat. Now, that's my best guess. I don't know if it's for true, but it makes sense. If you had to store more body fat because there's less food around, then your body's going to do that. So that's kind of where I stand on that matter anyway. So question number 2. What is the lowest healthy amount of fat consumed to stay healthy and reasonably lean? Again, a very general question and depends on many circumstances. I would say I've never had a client that I've told to eat less than 100 grams of fat per day. And that includes males and females. I think the set point limit, at least the lower end of the range, is 100 grams for both males and females. Now, why don't I say, oh, it's higher for men? Well, women need more fat soluble vitamins to help control their hormones. They'll seem to benefit from a higher fat diet because they're less active and they have less protein gram requirements. So therefore, the average man that, say, is, I don't know, physically active versus the average woman that's physically active, they'd both be consuming about 100 grams of fat per day at the lowest. Now, you can go lower than this, but that'd be a very momentary thing, so not a long-term health focus, body composition focus protocol. It's more just to get body fat off a bit quicker. The problem with that is it drives hunger right up. As soon as you bring your fat or carbs too low, if you are carb fueled, your hunger will go right up. There are nutrients found within fat, so fat soluble vitamins that we do need. And if we become depleting them, we'll start searching elsewhere through other macronutrients to get them. So in terms of grams of fat, 100 grams of fat per day at the lowest. Why do I say this? Is there a study to support this claim? No, absolutely not. There is no study to support this claim. However, anecdotally, it seems to be the right amount for both males and females. So we should continue. Do you agree that when we do not eat enough fat, we are craving for carbs as a compensation mechanism? Is this issue observed in Paul Saladino's current diet? Yes, pretty much. I think Paul Saladino just realized he didn't eat enough fat. Well, he hasn't realized that yet, but he should realize it. Now, when we go back to his old Instagram stories, his videos, his YouTube videos, you can see organ meats, very lean, no extra fat on them. He wasn't cooking in tallow, wasn't cooking in lard. He was just oven roasting most of his foods. His meat was very lean. So his body fat went down. He got to a point where he started to have health problems, and that's because his fat got too low, and his protein was too high. So his body started to become ravenous for certain vitamins and minerals that you'd probably only find in fatty cuts of meat. Now, his diet was good initially, but probably too much emphasis on the organ meats. The reason why I say this is because the copper content of most organs is extremely high. Now, when you have too much copper in your body, it will compete with zinc to be absorbed. Now, zinc is essential for DNA replication, cellular repair, things like skin tissues, hair, nails, essential for helping create enzymatic juice and digestive enzymes. So for that reason, we do need enough zinc. And I think he was throwing that zinc copper ratio out of balance. So for me, it's always a case of getting the protein grams you need to recover from your workouts, go about your day, then get your fat grams in to provide substrate or an energy fuel to do your work. Now, when I say work, it means either your activity or the work you have to perform as a job. So, for example, if you're a bricklayer, you're eating a diet which is 400 grams of protein, I've seen it before, and you're eating, I don't know, lean chicken breast, it's not going to work out long term. You're going to get ripped pretty quick. Then you're going to feel pretty crap pretty quick. So it doesn't work. So protein, fat, two different macronutrients, two different levers that provide different tools, resources for the body to be able to function optimally. And yeah, just so you know, I'll be cutting this for 8:15 at the latest tonight, so I won't be on here for very long. I'm currently experiencing maximal pain in my tailbone and right hip. So if you get your questions in earlier, I will actually answer them, but any after that point, definitely not. There we go. Hi, Sophie. All right. Yeah, Sophie won't make it today. She's doing stuff. Good evening, Matthew. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Baddest Cat, thank you for joining. Also, Ben, nice to see you. Cheers. So Matthew asked, what is a good substitution exercise for a lateral raise? Is a neutral grip shoulder press good enough, or isolation work optimal? Isolation work will be optimal. The reason why I say it is because a neutral grip shoulder press is predominantly front delt and the clavicular portion of the chest dominant. How do I know this? Because when you're doing a neutral shoulder press, your hands will start to cave inwards that way. So when you bring your elbow across your body, your upper chest will begin to activate more. So with that reason, it's predominantly a shoulder or front deltoid exercise and also upper chest. Now, you will get some medial deltoid activation as a secondary or stabilizing ancillary mover, but it's not going to be a main driver. Now, what some of the research kind of suggests that I've seen is when you're doing somewhat medium to wide palms out facing shoulder press, especially in the bottom portion, that will stress the medial deltoid or the side delt the most. So for me, it's a good substitution for a lateral raise. I think you probably get about 90 to 95% of results doing a workout which is, in terms of your whole body, a chest press, a shoulder press, a row, like a mid back or upper back row, a pull down or chin up sort of movement, a leg press, leg curl. I'm going to add in a calf raise as well, just because the calves don't work much during a squat or a leg curl. The reason why I won't say biceps and triceps are because if you're doing an underhand pull down, that work the biceps a lot, and if you're doing a lot of pressing movements, that work the triceps a lot. But you can, of course, add those in. So your best bang for your buck is going to be a medium to wide grip shoulder press with hands that way. Focusing on a good contraction at the bottom of the movement, especially, as in lowering it in the lower portion very slow and deliberately. That's what's going to be important. Now, there's no substitute for a side raise in terms of isolating your medial deltoid head if that's your goal. One alternative is you could do your front shoulder press in your neutral position, and you could do a wider or medium to wide upright row or a mid-back cable row. So it'd still work the side and rear deltoid head. I'd say for most people, you can never get enough shoulders. So shoulders is something which you can, at least I've noticed, you can pack on the volume for a little bit more. So your shoulders is actually a complex of muscles, which is larger than your chest. So if, for example, the average person watching us right now is doing 4 sets, I don't know, twice per week for chest, you're probably going to be wanting to do more than 4 sets of shoulders twice per week, because you have the front, medial, and rear delt head. So there's more muscle mass and there's actually more functions. So to fulfill the functions to activate the muscle properly, you're going to have to add in some movements to get equal distribution of, should we say, training volume. And of course, the intensity is the primary factor which we're looking at here. And I hope that's been useful. Matthew, ask another question if that isn't as accurate as you'd like, or go into a bit more detail if you want, and I could try and expand on that point. Nice to see you, Aggravator. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you, Mike. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you here. Very good. So Rick asked, have you seen the Sean Mara videos about muscle marbling? Would a muscle with fat within it be weaker than a muscle that is leaner but otherwise in mass? The muscle with more fat in it, the muscle which is more marbled with fat, will actually be stronger. How does that make sense? Well, think logically. The biggest powerlifter in the world versus the biggest bodybuilder in the world, so the person with the most amount of muscle and fat versus the person with the most amount of muscle, who's going to lift heavier? Now, the only difference here is if that same muscle mass on their body is equated, but then the fat is in addition to that muscle mass, is in the marbling, then that person's going to be stronger. But now if a person is, say, 100 kilos of muscle and fat versus a person who's 100 kilos of pure muscle, the person with pure muscle will be stronger. But people that tend to have the most muscle marbling or fat, intramuscular fat, you call it, will probably be stronger because they're eating more food, have more body weight, and can use inertia a bit better, the chances are. So that's kind of what I think anyway. Please put a Q in front of the questions, otherwise I will miss them. I can't see the screen easily, so please put Q in front of the questions. So Tommy asked, hey, what's the ideal fat to protein ratio for someone looking to build a bit more muscle? Just did some calculations, have 157 grams of protein to 133 grams of fat. Feel like I need to up the fat. Tommy, I've got a video on my YouTube channel which is very easy to find. It's got a green background and it says Carnivore Diet Macros. I'm also releasing a video soon. I don't think it's out yet to the public, but I'm releasing it to the paid channel members, which is something like Carnivore Diet Mass Gain Protocol, something like that. So that'll be available to channel members on here. So people that pay me money to make videos from 99 pence. So we're talking less than £1 to join my channel for a month to have access to all the premium content, early access to videos I put out. So that'll be a helpful video for you as well. That will give you a better idea of how much you need to eat. Now, if you're 78 kilos, 157 grams of protein, it sounds about right, maybe a bit high, I don't know. What a lot of it comes down to is where you started, where you're trying to go, your body fat, your training intensity, and your daily kind of expenditure. A man doing say 20-mile run every day plus weight training will require more protein to recover than a man running 0 miles per day, but weight training as well. There'll be more muscular breakdown. How do we know this? Because the enzymes that we secrete from our liver will be raised, our liver enzymes. So creatinine will be raised. Our body has byproducts it makes to get rid of the inflammation and kind of, what's the word, like waste products, if that makes sense. So we know that if there's more waste, there's more that needs to be put in to replace that waste. So everything depends on what you want to do. Now, to save you a shit ton of time, I'd recommend a consultation myself. Much more friendly than I appear on camera, I promise you that. And that'll probably save you a heap of time. So book in a 30-minute consultation. I'll be able to go through all that with you, work out some more sensible calculations based on what you do and what you're trying to achieve. Question from Matthew. Do you ever supplement MSM? Are the benefits for enhancing muscle recovery, gut health, healthy hair, skin, and nails? Methyl sulfonate something, I don't know. Yeah, this is quite an old school supplement, but it does have good use. It does seem to benefit gut health. It does seem to be very beneficial to joint integrity, hair, skin, nails, so the gristly parts of the bone. I would speculate that the best benefit it gives is actually partly due to the fact that it's got sulfur in it, that help a lot of your joint things like that. So that's partly due to the mechanism it works inside your gut. Similar to glucosamine. So people report, oh, I've taken glucosamine, it's made my bones or joints feel better. It's not because it's repairing the joint, but it's because it's repairing the gut. And people don't realize there's actually glucosamine kind of compounds within the gut. So that's how it basically works. How do I know this? I spent 3 years studying nutritional science, about 2 years studying herbal science, and I've tried every supplement under the sun. I've also undertaken pretty much every training course you can get on pretty much any supplement there is out there right now. So I've got a bit of experience in this. And MSM does seem useful. People use it, I think, I want to say about 3 to 5 grams, but it can give you some stomach upset. So be very cautious if you're going to raise that amount. Last time I did the carnivore diet, I ended up getting a histamine rash. I think it was due to eating too much beef mince. Anyways, to overcome this without simply coming off the mince. How are you certain that it was a histamine rash? Could it not have just been oxalate dumping? It depends on how immediate it was, the actual rash. If it was immediate, it could be the histamine. If it was a bit slower, so for example, you've had beef mince for a couple of weeks, then by say the 3-4 week mark, you start to notice, okay, I'm getting rash on my skin. That could be a sign it'd be oxalate dumping rather than histamine rash. A histamine rash would happen quite quickly if you're particularly sensitive. There are some ways to overcome it. Surprisingly, you can actually supplement with thymus gland or DAO supplement. I can't remember how to pronounce the word, but there are some things that help you dilute or get rid of the histamine within the body. So that's something you could look at. Surprising, which some of you may not know, onions and garlic are also good at dealing with histamine, if that makes sense, which people might not accept, but that's the truth. It does help get rid of histamine. But they're used medicinally, so they're not something you just really keep in your diet. So Andre asked, in your experience, do you find performing a drop set or a rest pause set is more demanding on your recovery than just an additional set after taking 2 to 3 minutes after a max effort set to failure? That's a good question. It depends how the drop set or rest pause set was performed. If it was a drop set or rest pause set to failure, which is what I would do, then yeah, that's going to be much tougher than doing, for me, 2 sets. So one really hard, intense set with intensifiers will be more taxing to me than doing 2 sets to failure. The issue I found sometimes with doing 2 sets to failure is, how to explain it? So say you're in a gym, you know you've got 5 sets that day. They're 5 really hard sets. You're going to put your all into it, fine. You can measure 5 sets. You can measure recovery from that point because you've only got 5 sets. Now, if you add a sixth set, you find your recovery, how that is at the time. Is it worse? Is it better? Oh, it's worse. Okay, we'll just keep doing 5 sets. Now, if you then say, I'm going to do, say, 10 sets, so double, but you're not going to do any rest pause sets or intensifiers, you're going to find it's going to be hard to mentally push yourself to do failure set, failure set, failure set, failure set 10 times over. So I would personally find that I could apply myself better with less sets, knowing that I could go all out than leaving some in the tank. So, for example, doing a 100-kilo chest press and trying it again, 100 kilos, but I only get half the amount of reps. I'd have rather seen that additional volume tagged onto the end of the first set through a rest pause or a drop set. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Can't be live. I'm currently at the dentist. She said I'm the easiest patient in a long time. Brilliant. Yeah. It helps when you don't have problems with your teeth, doesn't it? Hey, Nicole, what's good? Happy birthday. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a splendid day. I've forgotten about them. Yes, I went to the dentist like 5 years ago for a chipped tooth. Before that is about 10 years before that, or 15 years before that. So I went to the dentist like twice in 20 years, I think. No teeth issues at all. I have a gap in the middle where I had a bonus tooth once, which is basically an extra canine tooth. But yeah, no, touch wood, no tooth problems at all here. So very fortunate. Yeah, definitely hit the like essential. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. There we go. Thanks to Super Chat, Ben. Just seen this one. So, are carbs required to make muscle look fuller? Ask a question. You can make yourself look fuller, but the risk is that you'll hold more water under the skin. So I was speaking to Sophie about this last night, and I said, so you've got your body fat composition scales, like the bioimpedance electrical scales. Right now, it says I'm like 86 kilos of lean muscle mass or something. If I had, say, 2 days where I ate like a bag of Haribo with each meal and a packet of Uncle Ben's microwave rice, did that for 2 days, but equated calories, calories, my muscle mass on those scales would go up. Now, it's not that I gained muscle mass or gained glycogen, because that's already glycogen replenished. The difference was carbohydrates are pro-inflammatory. So you'll actually hold more water inside the muscle, but also outside the muscle. So one of the issues with this is, of course, you're going to feel a bit crap because you're inflamed, but you might actually look less defined. So if you want to look big in a t-shirt, then yeah, the best way to go about it is to eat a shit ton of carbohydrates and Haribo and stuff and rice. Add in some fat with that, so you activate the Randall cycle. So activating the Randall cycle, so lots of carbs in the body, lots of glucose in the body, lots of fatty acids in the body at one given time. That will make you more inflamed, which will make you look fuller. But it might not make you look better because of the extracellular water that you hold under the skin because of the inflammation. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's a tool you can use for any reason you had to use it, but personally, I wouldn't really bother. I just eat a bit more fat and have a high protein meal. I seem to get the same benefit out of just having a meal which is like whey protein with raw milk and egg, like those anabolic milkshakes I make. If I just make a massive one of them, that's for me like getting a hit of carbs. It's like getting a hit of carbs without eating 100 grams of carbs. It seems to be having the fat and the carbs at the same time tends to give that inflammatory response. So people think sometimes, oh, if all inflammation is bad. Well, yes, inappropriate inflammation in excess is bad, but for a body composition, body physique enhancement kind of rationale, yeah, you can do it. It does work. In terms of training performance, I don't notice any difference, but hopefully that helps you a little bit. Opinion on creatine loading. I won't give you an opinion on this one. I'll give you a fact. Creatine loading is nonsensical and probably not helpful at all. I found when I tried it in the past, I'd urinate more, I end up drinking more water than wake up in the middle of the night needing to piss all the time because of the creatine trying to get itself out of my body. So I'd probably say for most people, somewhere between, if you're supplementing it, between 3 and 10 grams per day. Now, if you're on a meal which is, say, 2 pounds of beef per day, forget about it. You don't need creatine. If you're having 2 pounds of ground beef or steak each day, forget about creatine altogether, won't bother. Some people notice that they can use more, shall I say, more creatine for cognitive health purposes, as in to feel more alert for some reason, when they get up to about 10 grams total per day. But that's assuming that the person's not eating beef. So, you probably need to use your own research here and work out what your diet's like and how it applies. So Andrew said, question: 1 set to failure plus 1 drop set, or 1 rest pause set to failure, or oh my god. Yeah, I wish you could make it more understandable. Hold on. It took me a minute to understand and read this one. I'm sure it makes sense when I've put pieces together. That's a good question. Yeah, I'd probably say depends on the equipment. I'd say the 1 set to failure plus a drop set, assuming you're on a piece of equipment which has like a weight stack, so the pin loaded stack where you go, chest press 100 kilos. I want to, train to failure, drop set, put it in 80, 70 kilos, something like that, then go again if it's like right next to you. However, if it's like a plate load machine where you have to stand up, go to the side, take it off, I'll just go straight to a rest pause set. So plate loaded, I'd say rest pause set. And otherwise I'd do just 1 drop set if you can use a pin loaded stack. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. That's Becky, apparently. That's all the questions tonight. That was quick. That was very quick. I'm just going to point out some additions to my YouTube channel, which is, I don't really care about that much, but I've got a video file behind me, which is like all this buzzy stuff going around. It's a bit quick for my liking, so I have to change that. But yeah, StreamYard lets you do some more things now, which is quite cool. So I can play more videos and add sound effects and things. I probably won't get around to doing much because I don't really care too much about that. It's all about the information. My channel is all about information, not education. I did that last time. My channel is all about information and not entertainment. So I'm going to press another button somewhere. There we go. Please leave a Q before the question. Apologies for the barking in the background. Is yeah, sorry for the barking in the background, guys. It's we live quite a small neighborhood, shall I say, and there's a dog like 2 doors that way. I think it's maybe a husky or an Alsatian of some sort. I'm not sure. Quite a big dog, and it's always left outside during this time of year or the whole year. So when it's snowing outside, it's left outside. It's sad to hear. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about it with the authorities. So it's a shame. But that dog will be barking all night, and it's sad. Yeah. Oh, it's not a question. Okay. Oh, cheers, Nicole. Yeah. Any thoughts on blood type having any bearing on someone's body reaction to a carnivore diet? Yeah, I've got some ideas about that. I think all these blood type diets are misinformation. The reason why I say this is I seem to thrive or get much better benefits than most people on a carnivore diet. And I'm A negative or rhesus negative, I think the second rarest blood type. So with that being said, if I look that up online and it will say you're A negative, therefore you should not eat meat, you should eat a grain-rich diet with lots of, I don't know, whatever. I don't know, flour or something, fruit. I feel worse eating that sort of thing. So that kind of tells me there's nothing to it. It's just the way our blood is structured effectively. Now, our blood is such a minute thing in the grand scheme of things. So if we look at our digestive system, we're all nearly all enough the same. So the way I look internally, obviously, will be a bit bigger than the average person because I'm 6'1", heavily muscled. My digestive system is the same as pretty much everyone else's, bar people with like, I don't know, have the colon removed or parts of the organs taken out. So if you think about that way, it's not really true. Now, people will have different reactions to the carnivore diet based on how they started. The people I see that get the worst kind of effects tend to be females, for whatever reason, I don't know why, and also older females, so 60, 50 plus. They tend to get the worst results in the carnivore diet at the very beginning. It kind of tells me that their body's detoxing from different things at the start. So yeah, the main thing is just to transition slowly. Now, I'd say about 50% of the time I consult with people online, and they're usually men, maybe between 20 and 40. And they're nearly always like fitness people, people that like to keep active. And every single time I explain to them, okay, this is how you transition to the diet, because they come to me because they get problems. What did you do last time? I changed my diet, and I went from like a paleo diet straight to carnivore, and I just started eating beef. I'm like, oh yes, no wonder why your body's upset with you. You've gone from eating 10 to 15 different foods to one. So transition through the diet slowly. And people think that you're taking the piss saying that and it's conservative. No, it's actually beneficial. If I was to go back in time, I'd do the exact same thing. I'd transition much slower. I think I did it over about 2 weeks, but I would have done 4 weeks going back in time. People always tend to go gung-ho and they try to do everything all at once and get all the benefit. But you can also get all the downside as well. So I'll be transitioning very slowly. I've got videos on this online already, like how to transition on a carnivore diet. If you go through my YouTube channel, everything you need to start training, bodybuilding, build muscle, losing fat on the carnivore diet is on my channel. You can go through the entire list. There's a video for every single person out there that will find helpful. You just have to look at the title. That's it. So have a look there and you'll probably find all the answers you need. But if you have anything a bit more specific, that's what these live Q&As are for, so you can get a bit more detail, perhaps if I didn't explain something very clearly in a particular video. So that's why I think it's useful to do these every week if I can. My pleasure, Matthew. Hopefully it's helpful anyway. It's hard after 60, lots of years of damage to reverse. Yes, I completely agree. I think a lot of it is due to deuterium depletion, and all the toxins that you take in over that time. And it's a shame because a lot of the time we kind of try all these different diets out because we think it's healthier, but then we realize we're actually taking a step backwards. Like I've made this point before on my channel. Like I did a diet of meat, fruit, and honey as an experiment. I lasted 3 days and it was horrendous. And I think if I did the same experiment again, but just did meat and Skittles, like these Haribo sort of sweet things, whatever they are, like the hard sweets, I'd have had a lot less side effects, because it's just glucose. With fructose, you're dealing with the appetite increase, the bloating from all the extra food. My food mass was much higher. The deuterium content was much higher. I had headaches. My electrolyte balance was disturbed. My guts were disturbed. So yeah, sometimes it's better just to have a very, I don't know, meat and sugar diet than meat and fruit sometimes, I think. As bad as that sounds, but you've got less to worry about. You've just got the glucose to worry about in sweets. But with fruit, you have the fructose, the fiber, the electrolyte disturbances because it's not biologically compatible with your body. You got the food mass, which causes intestinal permeability. So I'm not the biggest fan there. Good going. Yeah, my nan's about 92. I'm trying to get her on this sort of diet, but she won't bother. She won't, even if I try my best, she wouldn't bother. But it's nice to hear that. Hopefully she's getting good results. And golfing at that age is tremendous. So good job. So one set plus either a drop set or rest pause set to failure is going to be more damaging or taxing than 2 sets. Okay. Being weak and frail as you age is not normal or natural. People over the age of 60 actually need more protein than people under 65. More protein and fat equals healthy aging. Love it, Tommy. Yeah, that's completely true. It's mostly the protein that they need more of. The reason why I say that is because the muscle protein synthesis signal becomes weaker as you age. And that's due to the gene expression from what you see on the site of the telomere in the genetic sequence, the code. So the tail end of the DNA genome sort of thing becomes less receptive to muscle protein synthesis stimulating amino acids. That's what I think. And it seems to be pretty accurate. I'm pretty sure of that hypothesis. So, yeah. No worries. Yeah, I'd always aim for just doing less. Just take each set as hard as you can safely. That's pretty much it, really. No worries. No worries. It's just I couldn't read. I was like, oh, what's going on here? But yeah, that's a good question. All right. I'm going to head off in about 2 minutes unless I get a question or a super chat. Not very good at rambling on my own, in case you couldn't tell. It's been quite a while. Usually I've got Jerome or Sophie to help start the conversation. Yeah, it's a bit of an update on me while we're at it. I'm having, I'm pretty sure I'm having a procedure done in my, not my tailbone, my sacroiliac joint, my right-hand side soon. So what they're going to do is going to burn the nerves between that joint. Hopefully it'll get rid of my pain, maybe for 6 months to maybe 2 years. But if it's the wrong place, I'm doomed. So it means I won't be able to walk much because I'll be losing some nerves basically. But it's a choice between being in pain and not being able to move much. So we shall see. But that's something I've got to do. It's my only option apparently, because they don't do, what do you call it, PRP. I don't know where to get that done. Stem cells. Okay, you pay 25, 30 grand to do it for me. Like, these things aren't things I can access. So I'm going through private healthcare. The best I can get is that. So yeah, it's a shame really, but I'm just slowly getting more and more disabled as I age, which is very much undeserved, but life goes on. Show us your guns. I'll show you one. Here we go. That's just the one. It's not as good for just one person. Finger fasting 1 day a week. Do you think it'd be much of a hindrance in regards to muscle gain? Yeah, I wouldn't bother. It'll depend on the reason for the fast. If it's like I'm trying to fast to be healthy, sort my guts out, have a better relationship with food, then forget all the other goals. I'd always say to someone, just pick one goal, pick one single goal. So when you're bodybuilding, you're often kind of tied between building maximum amount of muscle and trying to regain or at least hold on to your health. Whatever you're going to do, just pick one of them. Honestly, that if you're getting rid of 1 out of 7 days to build muscle, you're affecting like 15, 13, 14, I don't know, % of your gains. Over a year, that's a lot. Now, if you're just doing this, maybe fasting 1 day a week for like 2 months, okay, that's 8 days out of 56. It's not going to be the biggest deal. You're probably not going to lose out on much muscle. Maybe, I don't know, I couldn't put a number on it, but it wouldn't be that significant. But a fasting lifestyle isn't a muscle building lifestyle, as in deliberately not eating for a whole day. So a fast overnight, not eat that day, and fast overnight again. I wouldn't recommend that for building muscle. It's a case by case kind of thing, but yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's worth doing. Honestly, it's save you so much time. I guarantee it'd be the best money you spent in your body in your life. No exaggeration at all. Yeah, I started training my arms a bit harder recently. I've been doing 3 sets rather than 2. So that's, I think, per week. So it should show slightly. I don't know. All right, I'm heading off now. My tailbone can't take anymore. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Appreciate coming on. Hopefully next week, if Jerome is able and Sophie's able to get them on as well. I may be back at my place next week. I'm not sure. Depends how I do in terms of pain. But I'll see you then. Take care, guys.